Hey, what's going on, guys? So, Rob Goblin saw my Marauder power tune video, and he asked, how do you make his Armada, in this case, go from right-handed to left-handed cocking on the other side? So he asked me to explain it to him. I said, I'll just do a video for you. That way it'll be easier and you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So the first thing you're going to do is get your Armada or a Gen 2 Marauder. This will not work on a Gen 1 Marauder because they are set up as right-handed shooters from the factory, and there's no way to move this bolt over to the other side because they have a little slot here, and that is how when you do leave the rifle in the rested position, the cocking pin is accessible right there, and there's no side on the right side for that. So you'd have to get the breech on a Gen 1 machined to convert it to a left-handed shooter. So our focus today is on the Armada / Gen 2 Marauders. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to remove all 4 of the breech retaining screws, and they will use a 3/32 Allen key or bit. In this case, we're using an Allen key. You don't have to degas your rifle for this. It's perfectly safe to take it off, without degassing the rifle. But if you feel unsure of yourself or just don't like that, having a pressurized vessel while you're working on the rifle, go ahead and degas it. You can get the degassing tool from Crosman Benjamin. I believe Pyramid Air and a few other places will sell those degassing tools. And you just screw it in the back of your tube and the end cap. It presses against the hammer, which presses against the valve, and it causes the valve to open up. You can also shoot your rifle down too, but if you use the degassing tool, the less pressure you have in your tube, the easier it is to open up the valve to release all the air. But again, you're going to remove all 4 of the retaining screws, pull the breech off. The transfer port will either be in the breech right here or be in your tube. You'll see it. Remove the transfer port, remove the 2 rubber O-ring / gaskets from the valve area and the breech area if they don't come off with the transfer port itself. And you'll put the transfer port sleeve and all your other parts into something to keep you from being lost. I use a little magnetic tray, especially with the metal parts. And that's how I keep everything nice and safe. Or I'll use a rubber mat that I have to put everything on too. So anyway, you'll remove all 4 of the breech retaining screws. You'll lift the breech off the tube. Again, take care to put the transfer port and the seals into something so you don't lose them. And the first thing you're going to do once you take it off is turn your breech around. Now, if you noticed on here, there is your hammer cocking pin. That's what actually engages the cocking pin on the hammer when you're cocking the rifle. On the side of that, there is a stop plate. That prevents the hammer pin from going all the way over to the right side of the breech, because that is the right side of the breech, and misaligning on you. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take your 3/32 Allen key and remove that cocking pin. Once you have that removed from the bolt, go ahead and stick that in your tray for your parts, like so. Put your Allen key in there too if you want. Then you're going to take a little screwdriver, Phillips head. You're going to remove this little screw right here to remove this plate. So go ahead and remove that screw. Take care to put that in with your parts and remove the plate also. And they all go right there. Next thing you're going to do, see it's on the right hand side? All you're going to do is turn the breech over so it's on the left hand side for left-handed cocking. When you turn your rifle around, you'll see the hammer pinhole in the bolt, and you're just going to screw that back in. So get your 3/32 Allen key, get your hammer cocking pin, and just screw it in. Now you can use a little blue Loctite. As you can see, there's you might be able to see there's a little blue Loctite on this. Don't use anything else but blue Loctite, because you can easily break the seal to remove your screw if you need to again. If you use any other color, you're probably going to be screwed, and you'll have to use heat to get it off, or you're going to end up stripping it somehow or some way. Blue Loctite, always blue Loctite. Go ahead and snug that hammer cocking pin up, and the plate that was on the right hand side of the breech is going to go over to the left hand side of the breech. And again, that'll stop that cocking pin from going too far over. I mean, you could use it, but then you're going to be like this. So don't leave it out. Make sure you put that stop plate on the on the left hand side of the breech, because when you turn it over, there's the left hand side of the breech right there. Take your little Phillips head screw, screw it in. You can put a little blue Loctite on that if you want to also. Go ahead and get that snugged up really good. You don't have to crank this down. Especially if you're using a little blue Loctite, just snug it up really tight. And the blue Loctite, once it cures, it'll hold it in place. And as you can see, that is now a left-handed breech. So once you get that done, go ahead, get your rifle, get your transfer port situated. Make sure you put one of the rubber seals inside the breech. One of the rubber seals goes on the valve in the tube. What you can do is definitely put the rubber seal on the valve side of the tube first, and then take your transfer port, and you can actually put the seal on your transfer port and stick it back in here. This rifle that I'm working on does not have a stock transfer port. It's running a vinyl tube to get more airflow. So I don't have a transport for this one. And hold on, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So that is in a Marauder, either Gen 1, Gen 2, or Armada transfer port. And these are the two rings that seal. So one of these will go in here. The other one will go right there where the valve is, on your exhaust in your tube. So you'll put one seal right there, like that. You'll put the other seal. What I do is I put it on the transfer port like this, and then I stick it inside the breech this way. And then you'll put this on your rifle just like that. And since we're on the topic of seals, go ahead and put a little silicone on there, 100% silicone, nothing petroleum based. Go ahead and rub a little on both of these seals, and that'll keep them fresh and keep them from cracking and just messing up on you and failing prematurely on you. So anyway, back to the breech. Once you get the breech all situated in the left-handed cocking, what you'll do is you'll take your 4 retaining screws for your breech. And what I do is I start in a pattern, just like you're putting a tire back onto a car. I'll start either front or back, it doesn't matter, but whatever way you start, I'm starting here first. I'll screw it down to it just hits the breech like that. I don't know if you can see that. So it just hits the breech, not so it's tight, and not even so it's snug, just as it hits. So I'll go 1, 2, the far left corner, come up to the left hand front, then go back to the right rear corner, and then I'll come back up to the right front, and I'll snug it down, and again I'll go back to the left rear corner, snug that, come up to the left front, snug that. Go back to the right rear corner and snug that. And I might do a third time just to make sure it's secure. And again, you can put a little blue Loctite on these too, just to help secure it. And then once you have your rifle together, if you've degassed it, go ahead and air it up. And if you haven't degassed it, then go ahead and dry fire it. We want to make sure that your transfer port is sealing on the breech and the tube where the valve is, and not pushing air out from underneath. What you can do is put a little tissue paper or some toilet paper, get like 2 or 3 squares, keep them together, lay it over the breech, and when you dry fire it, if you might see a little puff because you don't have a magazine in here, and air will have a tendency to come back through here. But if you see it push where the breech and the tube meets, then you don't have a good seal, and you have to take everything apart and make sure you get a good seal. And then once you get your rifle together and you're sure that it's sealed, you now have a left-handed Benjamin Marauder Gen 2 or an Armada. So there you go. Quick, easy, simple. Again, if you're not the mechanical type or the tinkering type and you don't feel comfortable doing this, then ask someone to do it. There's plenty of people who can help you do this at the different locations, like Crosman has Maverick in California. He does Marauder work. Heck, contact me. There are a few people who know how to work on Marauders who can actually do the work for you if you want to. If you know someone who's close to you who can do the work, go over there and watch them do it. It's a lot more satisfying if you do it yourself. But again, if you're not comfortable doing it, then have someone else who knows what they're doing do the work for you. So with that in mind, happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays if I don't speak to you all again, and have fun shooting.